Y'all, I said, let me go ahead and do this video. So, the title is essentially, you can't move forward because you're always looking backwards, right? Now, a really good metaphor for this would actually be a biblical story, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. A lot of people look at it as a story about homosexuals, but it's really not about that. It's about having more faith in your past than you do in your future. And the thing is that if we're going to look at a primary character that really gets this point across, it would be Lot's wife, right? One of the people who's escaping Sodom and Gomorrah, and they're all told, don't look back. When you're leaving, when you're escaping, don't look back. And what does Lot's wife do? She looks back. And what ends up happening is that she turns into a pillar of salt, right? And when I look at that symbolically, right, her turning into a pillar of salt, that's about her becoming inanimate. That's about her becoming dead. She became a vibrational match, right? She became a perfect match to her past that was burning to the ground. And just like her past was dead, she was dead too, because she had more faith in what she was losing than what she could gain. She had more faith in her past than she did her future. So let's get a little bit more like psychological and scientific about it, right? Now, let's say that you're in a position where you've lost something or something is being destroyed and you have to make the decision of either moving forward or looking back, right? I feel like when a person looks back, that is when they get stuck in the process of grief. Because whenever you lose something, it's a miniature death, and you're going to go through the grieving process, which is, let me see if I can get it off the top of my head, it's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance, right? And what happens, even though the grief process has been proven to be non-linear, something else that I do believe is that when you stop the grief process from moving forward, when you dig your heels in and you don't flow with that process, what happens is that it goes retrograde. It starts moving backwards. And that is the equivalent to you becoming that pillar of salt, right? Like, let's say that you have made it to the point where you get angry. You get mad about what it is that you lose, but you decide, oh, I can't get mad. I shouldn't be mad. Like maybe you're one of those people who were taught or who learned that anger is a bad thing. What happens is that you're going to go back into denial where you're saying, oh, I can't believe that this happened. I can't believe that this is happening to me. I'm such a good person. How could such a thing take place, right? When anger is meant to snap you out of that and move you towards, what was the next stage? Bargaining. But let's say that you make it to depression, which is right before acceptance, right? And you can't handle that vacuum of sadness, that vacuum of, I really am facing the fact that the past didn't happen the way that I wanted it to. Things didn't go the way that I wanted them to. I lost something or someone that's very important to me. Like some people aren't able to handle sitting in that space, even though that's exactly what you need to do. So what ends up happening is that instead of them moving forward into acceptance, they go backwards into bargaining. So since they're not able to stay in the present moment and stay with that discomfort, which is putting it lightly, damn, this really is what it is right now, they go back into, well, I should have did this, or I could have did that. And another form of bargaining is blame, which is, well, if this person would have done that, or if that person wouldn't have done that, things wouldn't be the way that they are now. So you end up going backwards. So the most important thing that I can say is that if you truly are trying to move forward and you're trying to back away, you're trying to move away from something in your life, and you're going for something better, not only do you need to allow yourself to go through these different stages of grief and give yourself the time and really the flexibility to feel it the way that you feel it for as long as you need to, but just make sure that you don't cut it off. Because if you cut it off, if you stop yourself from really experiencing what you need to experience in that stage, you go backwards instead of forwards. And another thing that I like to add, because I said earlier, right, that you have to have more faith in your future than you do in your past. Your past, the advantage that your past has over your future is that there's a lot of details to it. There's lots of specifics to it because it's already happened. You know, you have your present, which is happening as it's happening, but your past, you could write it out if you needed to without very much effort. So when it comes to your future, it's difficult to have faith in a future that's very general, that's very abstract. You know, how can you look forward to something that doesn't seem like it's as concrete as where you came from? And that's also a mistake that people make because they're so focused on the past because it has so many details, and that's what makes it so convincing, even though technically it's really only a memory. It's as imaginary as your future is when it's all said and done. So what they do is that, let's say, because I like to speak in metaphors and similes and all of that, what they do by putting more stock, more importance, and more faith in their past as opposed to their future is that they're facing a setting sun instead of a rising sun. So what happens when the sun sets? It starts to get darker. We start losing energy. We get very tired. We get very sleepy. It gets colder. The shadows become bigger. You know, there's all of these different literal aspects that happen when the sun is setting that are metaphorically true about our lives when we face the setting sun. But what happens when you face the rising sun, metaphorically for your life, right? Starting literally, things get brighter. You get more energy. The shadows shrink, right? It gets warmer, hotter. And if you face the rising sun, it's more incentive to move forward. And the difference between facing the setting sun and making the turn where you face the rising sun is with what it is that you're letting go of. Are you allowing yourself to go through those stages of grief? Are you really feeling it? Do you realize that there's still something that you're trying to hold on to? Because once you do and you allow yourself to go through that process and you let go, you can start facing the rising sun and start working on creating a future for yourself so that you can have something to look forward to and be excited about, as opposed to having something that you regret, something that you wish could have lasted longer. So that's all I have to say for right now, y'all, and I'll see you later. Bye.